Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So I think we all know that business owners are often too engrossed in operating their business to deliberately drive the value of their company up as they prepare to exit. Here to explain the offerings of an outsourced service called Exit Factor are exit strategists Jessica Starks and Tom Donaldson. Welcome to the show, Jessica and Tom.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Good to be here. Chris.
So let's have you start by expanding on my intro, the plight of the business owners, and especially the small business owners. What is your experience when you first engage these business owners on their expectations on their, moving the business on to a new owner, whether it's transitioning to another generation or selling the business on the market?
Yeah, it's never too early to learn and to improve your business. So when you do make that transition, I've been a business broker for over 8 years now, and I invested in Exit Factor because we help people get ready to exit. And if you have 12 months plus available to your timeline, we can definitely help make those improvements for you. So it's a great opportunity for business owners.
Yeah, just one thing I'll add is a surprising fact, kind of a sad one, is that according to the International Business Brokers Association, 80% of businesses that are listed for sale never sell. The owner just
80%.
80%. That's huge. The owner just is forced to just shut down, liquidate, and go away. And they
try to do it on their own. Yeah. It's not confidential, and they've never sold a business before. So
right.
Yeah.
I can imagine when the word gets out that the owner's looking to leave, you probably get customers that are going to fly the coop. You get employees that are like, well, I'm going to be out of a job.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So.
In all reality, the customers still need a vendor and the employees still need a job, and they are skilled employees. So a lot of times the buyers do want the employees.
So with the people that are getting ready to leave the company, and you say 80% of these companies don't end up selling, is it that they have the wrong understanding of what it takes to have a business be marketable, or is it a misunderstanding of how much they think their business is valued, or what are some of the roadblocks that an owner has as they get their brain wrapped around selling a business?
Like Jessica said, they've just never done it before, and it's a very kind of specialized thing to go through. And so they have no real expectation of what the process is. And it is a process,
right?
As we'll get into in a minute.
It's an event, but it's a transition. It's a process. It's more than the day of closing. It's very emotional for sellers. So they might not realize it, but at the end of the day, it's their baby. They've created this amazing thing, which is true. But when it comes to selling, expectations need to be proper. It's a really important event in their life.
Right. And when you talk to a person who's looking to succession plan, do you often ask kind of what do you think your business is worth, or what do you think the value of your company is worth? And what frequency are they even in the ballpark of what reality is?
It's always great when you can be like, I'm working with this company right now, and they're like, I only want this for the business. I'm like, well, I can get you this, more. That's amazing when that happens, when, you're like, you're undervaluing your business. But more times than not, they think their business is, worth a lot more than what actually the market's willing to pay. And at the end of the day, a business is worth what a willing seller and a willing buyer are willing to transact on that business opportunity. Right.
So what is the, why do you think the business owners feel their business is worth more than it actually is? Is there a common theme as to why they're off by so much?
It's their baby. I mean, nobody's got an ugly baby, right? It's
blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they put so much into it, maybe 20, 30 years of their life into it.
And they reinvested a lot of their time and money into it over the years.
Made a lot of sacrifices along the way. So oftentimes their idea of what it's worth is significantly more than let's just say a cold-hearted third party that comes in and looks at the numbers.
And sometimes when a business owner wants to sell, they're burnt out. They're ready to retire. They're tired. And they're like, well, the buyer can do all this stuff that I've set them up to do, which is true, but they're buying what you've done so they can see the opportunity and create it and do all that hard work for them, for that business to create that value.
Yeah. I think the other thing that sometimes gets forgotten by the owner is that oftentimes the seller, over many years, they have no debt any longer. But the buyer, who's going to pay a nice price to that seller, they typically have to get a loan to do this deal. And so now the business is going to need to grow. It's going to need to create more cash flow to kind of maintain now. And so the seller really needs to paint a picture of what are the growth opportunities to really put the buyer into a position where they can meet those debt obligations.
And that's really important. A buyer wants to see those opportunities, but not necessarily pay for it because they're the one putting their blood, sweat, tears, capital into that opportunity.
Right. And when you think about the owner that's been living it, right, their assessment of the value of the business is really emotional. I think you've already mentioned that, Tom, and it's, I know how many nights and weekends, I know how many times I sweated payroll, and maybe we're out of that circumstance now, but I know all the hours I put in, all the pain that I've caused or suffered through or whatever. Whereas a person who's going to come in and buy it is looking in a vacuum. I mean, they're like, okay, show me your revenues, show me your expenses, show me the market trends or whatever, and then you're going to pin some sort of a times X of an annual. I mean, I'm not even sure how that business valuation is done.
Yeah, we
but
look at industry research as well as the cash flow. And then also with exit factor, we start with an exit assessment to determine where they are today.
Okay.
And sometimes that's the reality check.
Right.
But if they want to be better than that, which is our goal, to get them to where they want to be or where they could be when they're ready to sell, we have a roadmap along the way to make improvements to their business and put them back into reality with the end goal of getting them more for their business.
Got it. Okay. And I'll just pause here for a second and just say, if you're interested in this and thinking about buying out a small business, you might want to make sure your personal finances are in order. And I just want to ask, are you ready to make financial decisions? Wagner Financial offers a proven process for financial transformation, empowering individuals at all stages. Whether you're just starting out, nearing retirement, or anywhere in between, stop feeling unsure about your financial path. Wagner Financial can help you undergo a financial transaction. So schedule a consultation today to discuss your individual needs and discover how Wagner Financial can guide you through it. Visit wagner-financial.com or call 517-853-3367. So you've got these folks, you talk about this assessment, right? So exit factor. First, let's start off a little bit with how did you find exit factor and how did you get engaged with them and what makes you feel that model is really what these business owners need?
Yeah, so Transworld Business Advisors is a franchise, and that's what I've owned for 8 years, is a franchise of Transworld. And we have a parent company, and the parent company also has Exit Factor. And just the need for businesses looking to sell, to be educated, to improve their value. Sometimes, they're in a rough patch. We can help stage their business, like staging your house, and now you want to stay. That's fine too. We really want what's best for the seller or the business owner when it comes to their business life cycle. So, Exit Factor just really, I saw the value in that because of all the businesses who aren't ready to sell, but come to me and say, I need to get out yesterday, which is fine too. I'm here to help them with that. But if we can position the business in the right light with the most value, it's good for all stakeholders involved in the business, family, community, everybody.
So Exit Factor is kind of the running start.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, let's get your business in order.
Yeah.
It's like you're already producing widgets or providing a service and you've already got the machine running. Now let's spend X amount of time
preparing,
automating and preparing and adding value to the process, to the business. Then we'll go through Transworld and actually broker it at a time when your price is as high as it can be.
Exactly. And we say a good client for Exit Factor is anybody who has 12 plus months before they want to sell. So it could be 3, 5, 10, 2 years. It just really depends.
Right. So I think about the small business owners that I know, and I know some of them have, had succession planning already happen. I know some businesses that I thought were fantastic brands that just went out because they didn't have a succession plan. And literally like the real estate in the inventory was their retirement, plan. And I think there are some missed opportunities. How much, and then I've also done some small business consulting. It seems to me that a lot of these owners of these small businesses are the institution itself. Like I think about the get hit by a bus factor. If you got hit by a bus as the business owner, the business falls apart because everything's up in your brain as opposed to standard operating procedures, org charts, flow of business, just templates that people can follow. So then you can hand that business to someone else and they have the people in places and the processes in places and all you're doing is kind of steering the ship. Is that
You're speaking
accurate?
right to our program.
Absolutely. Owner dependency is one of the key value killers with a business.
Right.
Hey, when that owner walks out, all those customers are going to go with him, all the employees. That no buyer wants that. So I like to tell business owners, let's build a business where you can comfortably go on vacation for a month and feel confident that your business is going to continue to thrive and do well and make some profit. If you're not there, let's come to exit factor. Let's work on it.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. It's not an overnight process. Everybody knows that. But that's the goal. That's what you're aiming for. And too many business owners are the operation, as you said. And
whenever a business owner says, I work 70, 80 hours a week, I'm like, a buyer does not want to hear that. And, that's not good for your health either, So we need to help you out with that. Our goal is to give you time back in your day.
So what is exit factor? How do you engage? If someone picked up the phone and said, hey, I need to get out of here, probably say even a 3-year running start, but I know that I am that, owner occupied owner. So how do you engage? How does the assessment work? What tools do you give them to kind of help them get ready?
Yeah. Well, we first start with kind of a discovery meeting just to learn about the business. Complimentary, but just we've got to know who we're talking with and what the opportunities are. And that typically will lead to what we call our exit assessment. Very detailed. We're looking at multiple years of financials. We're comparing those to industry comparative numbers. We've got like a 64-point list of checks and balances here for this business to see just what are the opportunities for improvement. And then that becomes, as Jessica pointed out, the roadmap for the next year to work on. And we don't want to overwhelm the business owner, so it's usually let's work on 1 or 2 things each quarter to try to accomplish. So it's doable. We ask for 1 to 2 hours of their time per week to really move this stuff forward.
Got it. So only a couple hours a week.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
And our goal again is to give them more time. So at the end of this, yes, they're separating their day or week to include exit factor, but you do have to plan for it.
Right.
Succession planning.
Absolutely. So I got to ask, how do the fees work out? How do they compensate you for your time?
So we have 3 different programs with Exit Factor, all the way from, an annual subscription to our online curriculum. Then we also offer different consulting modules along with that.
Okay.
So whether, we're walking with you or we're doing it for you. So we have all different plans depending on the size of the business and what the needs are for that. For that business owner.
And are there any typical types of businesses that you specialize in? I mean, do you do manufacturing? Do you do
all the
food
above,
service?
Yeah. Yep.
So do you find that business generally runs on the same principles regardless of the industry, or do you have curriculum that's kind of tailor-made to the different types of food? I just threw out food service and manufacturing, are kind of very different types of industries, but
it's focused on good business practice, which it's amazing how, yes, there's so many different business specialties and industries out there, but at the same time, 80% of the business is the same. You've got a hire good employees and communicate with them so they understand the plan. We're all going in the same direction, and we need to have solid financials so we kind of know where we've been and how we're doing. And we've got to have a good marketing program so we're continuing to sell and bring on new business.
Documentation of policies and procedures.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, we don't specialize in an industry, but we find if you've got the fundamentals down, you can probably be a very successful business.
So now you mentioned this doesn't always need to leave to succession planning immediately, right? So you might be a 35-year-old business owner who's banging your head against the wall and just saying, I want to use Exit Factor to help me automate my deal while I'm young and before I start working 70 hours a week or so I can get out of working 70 hours a week faster and all that stuff. So can companies kind of sunset from the program, or do you recommend that they kind of stay with it as just a tool that they use throughout the rest of their life?
Yeah, so we do want to give them the tools through our program. We do look to engage with our clients for about 12 months, and we can continue on with them. We can pause them until they're ready to come back to some tasks or things to improve their business, or when they're ready to exit. So we're definitely fluid in that, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Again, that's why we ask for that 12 months before you want to exit to spend time with us.
Got it. Do you think Michigan has a pretty good ecosystem to support small business? I'm not sure how much you travel around or have peers in the franchise in different states. And I think about the small business development centers, that Tom, I know you had a hand in for a lot of years. And I know Jessica with the business brokerage. I mean, you guys both have your finger on the pulse of what small businesses are dealing with, from an incubation of startups and the whole startup, mindset, and then small business support. It seems like we've got a reasonable amount of tools, but I also don't know what that looks like compared to other states. Are we par for the course, ahead of the curve, or maybe even behind?
I would say, I don't know the answer specifically, but I do think we have a good ecosystem. I mean, people are out there looking for good businesses to buy. So there's not enough businesses on the marketplace that we have more buyers right now than we have sellers.
Got it.
I wouldn't say that we're like Florida and Texas as an example. I think they're getting a lot of movement and people that are coming into those states. But we still have a good ecosystem here. We still have a desire for people to be entrepreneurs and business owners.
Right. And does any of that come on the heels of the pandemic? It seems, there are articles, but I also know anecdotally a handful of people who are like, I look at world differently, and I'm going to get out of this corporate toil and do something that's a passion project and all that stuff. So those are the buyers, right? The people that are like, okay.
They are. That's most of the buyers. That's the interesting part. And that's important for potential sellers to think about that, is that they're probably going to be acquired and sell to somebody coming out of corporate America. So these are bright people that maybe were a mid-level manager, maybe a high-level manager. But they've decided they're sick of the corporate world and they want to own their own gig and maybe relocate to somewhere outside of the big city, perhaps.
Right.
And this business is going to be the vehicle to help them do it. But these are often sharp people that are looking for a career change.
Right on.
And we're better than Michigan. I mean, this is an amazing state.
Yep.
Right on.
Yes.
Yep. So, we all need a place to call home, and I would like to recommend Chris Silker of Keller Williams Advantage and Team. They offer the expertise that you're looking for. He's helped clients navigate the complicated world of real estate in mid-Michigan for over 10 years, providing the best information possible at the right time to empower the best decisions. Whether you're a first-time home buyer looking for a local expert to guide you from point A to point B, searching for an income property in the competitive Lansing market, right-sizing your life, or searching for your dream home, Chris Silker and the Advantage and Team is the name to trust in Greater Lansing real estate. Visit advantageandteam.kw.com or call Chris Silker at 517-242-9251 today to find the best home of your dreams. So, I want to get back to the valuation process because it all kind of starts with where are you today, right?
Absolutely.
And I looked at your website and I was really intrigued by this. There's like an exit wheel or whatever that you've got that talks about the different 5 things that you go in to kind of get them through the process. Can you expand a little bit on what that looks like? Because if I'm a business owner and again, I'm feeling undervalued or I don't think that, my business is where it needs to be, I'd love to hear maybe more of this story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first we start looking at where the business is at today and look at the value.
Yep.
Okay. And not only what's the business value right now through our exit assessment, but also what could it be looking at the industry comps out there.
Okay.
And then from there, we make a plan to let's optimize. How do we tweak your financials a little bit? Your cost of goods sold is 4% higher than the industry median out there. So it looks like there's opportunity. So let's look at your pricing. Let's look at your vendors. Let's work on that this quarter and see if we can get back to where the industry's at. And we'll pick out 2 or 3 other areas and again try to tweak those financials and make that bottom line a little better. Next, one of the things, touching on what you mentioned earlier about how businesses are so owner dependent, and hey, the owner says, it's all in my head, I know it all. Well,
right.
That doesn't transfer to the buyer very well. So it's about recording things, everything you do. So your everything from your org chart for your employees to your processes and procedures, how do they all work? If you have a nice notebook or online document program to show to a potential buyer, they're impressed and they see they can picture themselves stepping into this business. And then the next phase is really transforming the business, really a strategic growth plan that can really put that vision in the head of the potential buyer that, okay, here's where I can take this. And so looking at what are the markets out there, are there adjacent markets? Are there other growth opportunities for us? Let's put that down in writing. And so it's all there for a potential buyer to really see where we've been, but where we could be in 5 years. And then we really position them for the exit. And that's, and I'll let Jessica jump on this a little bit, but it's really, you mentioned a personal financial planner. I mean, really, there's a lot of professionals that need to come into the picture when you're selling a business.
Yeah, we're only a couple seats at the table. You still need your partners of attorneys, accountants, insurance, landlord, personal financial planner. Right. So there's so many people involved in this process to get you from point A to point Z. And we definitely have some partners available to help you with that. Or maybe you have your own partners.
Right. And there are 2 big punchlines that I've kind of taken from this conversation as far as just measuring results, right? It seems like, you talk about most owners that I know are working furiously behind the scenes to keep things afloat, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got personal time invested in the business, but then you also have obviously the automation of the money and the cash flow and the value of the business overall. I know you're reasonably new with this chapter of Exit Factor, but as a brand, are there any statistics or any measures of results that you can kind of throw out there to whet the appetite of our listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So like Tom said, only 80%, or actually only 20% of businesses sell. So through our program, we've seen 100% of the businesses sell.
Wow.
So that's amazing. The timeline it takes to sell, on average, it takes like 9.5 months to sell. With our program, our average is 5.5 months.
Wow,
so we're really speeding up that process. We give business owners time back into their day. And so it's a really great opportunity. And we see increased profitability while we're going through the program, which then leads also to increased, we've seen a 58% increase in value on the businesses that we're selling.
Okay.
So yes.
That makes retirement a very different look.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for so many business owners, that business is their number one asset.
Absolutely.
Right.
And they're depending on that for whatever the next phase of their life, whether that is retirement or it might be, we're working with several business owners now that they've got another business they're starting. And so they need more time to really focus on this other business. And they've taken this one that they want to sell as far as they think they can go. So again, they need some cash and capital to put into the next business. So
got it. Wow. All right. So the business will sell.
Yes.
And then it'll sell faster. It'll sell for more money, and you get a little bit of peace along the way and profits.
You got it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take things that don't suck for $1,000, Bob. That sounds like a great formula. So how do people learn more? What's the best way to get in touch with Exit Factor?
So exitfactor.com.
Okay.
We have our website, Exit Factor, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can reach Jessica, Tom.
Yep.
We're happy to help.
Fantastic. And geography, how wide can you go?
Yeah, we're working with people in Chicago. We actually had a call with Canada.
Wow.
But yes.
So you can handle people outside of mid-Michigan or even Michigan as a whole.
But we're here in Michigan, but yes.
ExitFactor.com. Fantastic. We've been talking to exit strategists Jessica Starks and Tom Donaldson, who are embarking on Exit Factor to help your small business thrive as it is today and succession plan and make more money on your way out. Really appreciate you guys joining me here today. I'd love to give a final shout out to all my loyal sponsors: Forsberg Real Estate, Wagoner Financial, Triterra Environmental, Good Marketing, and the attorneys of Foster Swift and Keller Williams Advantage and Team. Fantastic people, worth the call. If you just found this as a one-off, you can find Michigan Reimagined on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all the other great places. My name's Chris Buck. Thanks for joining us today.